Illegal naturalization. Many people wonder who Malaysians are and what they look like. When those illegally naturalized players competed with the Vietnamese national team, many still joked that they didn't look like Malaysians. In the minds of many Vietnamese people, Malaysians typically have slightly dark skin, not too tall but very resilient. Even in Malaysia, this incident made the whole country ask a question that sounds dogmatic but is very practical. Who are Malaysians and who are we? To understand Malaysians, one must first learn about the country of Malaysia. Malaysia is not a unified country like Vietnam or Thailand, but rather a country consisting of two parts. These two parts include the Malay Peninsula, stretching from southern Thailand to near Singapore. This peninsula, bordering Thailand, has the capital Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur is famous for its skyscrapers and modern lifestyle, especially the Petronas. The remaining part of Malaysia is northern Borneo, comprising the two states of Sabah and Sarawak. This area is less developed, mainly consisting of jungles and mountains, where indigenous peoples have lived for thousands of years. These two parts are separated by sea, over 600 kilometers apart, but of course both belong to Malaysia. That's why people often say Malaysia is both a continental country and an island nation. There is one similarity between Malaysia and Vietnam: area. Malaysia's area is about 330,000 square kilometers, nearly equivalent to Vietnam. But the population is only about 34 million, one-third of Vietnam's. Notably, most of Malaysia's population is concentrated in a more developed area, that is, the western region bordering Thailand, where Kuala. Meanwhile, the Borneo part, though vast, is sparsely populated, mainly inhabited by indigenous ethnic groups scattered in the mountains and along rivers. From these geographical characteristics, Malaysia has formed a diverse country, not only in culture but also in people, lifestyle, and power. With such geographical distribution, Malaysians are not a single ethnicity, but a multi-ethnic community living together under one flag. For example, in Vietnam, the Kin people are a majority, while in Malaysia, the indigenous Malays are the majority. But their majority does not exceed 80 to 90%, but is only about 55 to 60% of the population. What do they look like? They are the typical faces in the Malaysian national team. They are Muslims, speak Malay, and are constitutionally recognized as the owners of the country. Slightly dark skin. Next are the Chinese, accounting for about 23% of the population. The Chinese are famous for business, mainly living in big cities like Kuala Lumpur, Penang, Johor Bahru, controlling Malaysia's private economy. Another group is the Indians, with darker skin in the Malaysian team, accounting for about 7%. They are descendants of laborers from the British Hope, mostly following Hinduism or Christianity. Finally are the indigenous ethnic groups, long living in the mountains, accounting for about 10% of the population, living in the eastern mountainous region. This is a colorful picture, where every color wants to stand out, but sometimes it's difficult to blend into a unified color. Therefore, for decades, Malaysia has maintained a special policy: Sons of the Soil. The policy prioritizes indigenous Malays and other long-established ethnic groups in education, employment, land ownership, and politics. What does this mean? It means that the Chinese and Indians, though possibly wealthy, good at foreign languages, business owners, sometimes don't have as much power as the Malays. The Malays are protected by state policy and hold power. As for the people, the indigenous people in Sabah and Sarawak, although they are truly considered children, they actually benefit little because they are too few in number. As a result, Malaysia is peaceful but also sensitive, because doesn't clash over religious issues. Over ethnic issues, everything can flare up very quickly. History has witnessed complex problems like in 1969. That event resulted in fatalities and it remains a lingering wound to this day in Malaysia. With diverse ethnicities from diverse languages in Kuala Lumpur, one can hear all sorts of languages in the world. Malay is the dominant language, English is for the youth. Chinese in Chinatown, Tamil in Indian neighborhoods. The official language in Malaysia is recognized as Malay, which must be fully called Bahasa Malaysia. But most people can speak English, which is also a legacy from the colonial era. Religion is also a colorful picture. Islam is the state religion, because Muslims here account for over 60% of the population. But there are still Buddhist temples, Hindu temples, Christian churches, and even Chinese folk shrines. So, jokingly, in Kuala Lumpur, within a radius of about 1 kilometer, one can find both Islamic mosques, Indian temples, and Chinese pagodas. Something rare to see in any other country. From this, it can be seen that Malaysia is a miniature Asia, where Islam, Hinduism, Christianity, and sometimes even Taoism coexist. And this diversity is both a source of pride and a difficult problem in managing Malaysia. Now let's talk about football and the story of who is Malaysian. Football in Malaysia is like football in many other Southeast Asian countries. It's not just a sport but part of national pride. For many years, Malaysian football was also among the best, but after a period of decline, they began to seek a new direction, which is naturalizing players. At first, it seemed reasonable, find players of Malaysian descent in Europe, America, Africa, whose grandparents were born in this country, and grant them citizenship to play for the next. But things went off track when more than half the team was naturalized with fake documents, meaning illegal naturalization. Some claimed their grandfather was born in Malaysia, but it turned out he wasn't born there. Others said their father was Malaysian, but his passport wasn't even Malaysian. All these details were exposed, shocking and angering the entire country. So Malaysians began to argue fiercely. Are they turning the national team into a collection of foreigners paid to play? Or is it necessary to use foreigners to prove themselves? Or is Malaysian citizenship that easy to obtain? These questions revealed an old wound in Malaysia, the gap between the notion of citizenship and the notion of ethnicity. In Malaysia, citizenship is very strict, as it is in many other countries. Many foreigners living in Malaysia for years still haven't been granted citizenship. Even some ethnic minorities face difficulties in being recognized. Yet, just to make the national team stronger, some foreign players were given exceptions. Just by claiming my grandfather was Malaysian, my father was Malaysian, and that's enough for citizenship. And these documents are sometimes fake. This makes many Malaysians feel very upset and hurt. When a native somewhere might have to wait a lifetime without getting full documentation. Some Spanish or Argentine guy gets citizenship in just a few months. And so, when punished, people not only feel ashamed of the law, but also touch on national pride. Because while the country's citizenship is still tied to pride in religion, culture, and bloodline, granting citizenship to someone in such a way is hard to accept. To understand why Malaysian citizenship is so sensitive, once again, look to the past. Malaysia was once a bustling trading region in the 15th century, which corresponds to the period of Vietnam's Le Dynasty now. Arabs brought Islam, Chinese brought goods, Indians brought spices and silk. The British established colonial rule, bringing tens of thousands of workers from China and India to mine tin and tap rubber in the following century. So within just about a century, Malaysia's population became very diverse, mixing all ethnicities and languages. Until independence in 1957, they had to choose a compromise. Malays hold political power, Chinese hold economic roles, Indians hold professional roles, and thus Malaysian society existed in that fragile balance for decades. Therefore, any issue related to who is a true Malaysian easily touches deep sensitivities. And the recent case of illegal naturalized football players is just undeniably, Malaysia's success largely comes from its diversity. Hardworking, business-savvy Chinese help its land thrive. Indians contribute to engineering, healthcare, education, while Malays maintain political stability and preserve culture. But these differences also sometimes make Malaysians go in different directions. Therefore, Malaysia is a country where Chinese celebrate Lunar New Year, Indians celebrate Indian, and national holidays must be shared among all three. While seemingly fair, this makes concepts of ethnicity and nationhood sometimes very fragile boundaries. Thus, when speaking of Malaysia, sometimes they don't think of a common identity but rather combined identities. 1. Malaysia.
Football, seemingly just a sport, is actually the clearest mirror of national identity. When Vietnam wins, we feel proud to be Vietnamese. When Thailand wins, they feel proud to be Thai. But when Malaysia wins, they still feel proud of Malaysian players. When Malaysia loses, especially if using illegally naturalized players, people aren't just sad about the score, but about losing part of national pride. That's what all. People only feel proud when they win. After the scandal, many Malaysian intellectuals spoke up. It's time to redefine what it means to be Malaysian. Is it anyone who lives, works, and contributes to this country, regardless of skin color or religion? Or is it only those who speak Malay, or only Muslims, or only those from the groups we just mentioned? The answer remains open, but one thing is certain. Malaysian identity is transforming, and we can change Malaysian identity. The illegal player naturalization case is just a scratch, but it reveals this country's complex bloodstream. Geographically divided, ethnically diverse, religiously layered, and national pride always needs protection.
It shows that a passport cannot make someone a true citizen,
unless that person understands, loves, and respects where they belong.
Malaysians are ultimately people trying to answer the question for themselves. In an increasingly blended world where sometimes being Malaysian isn't just a right but a choice. Thank you for following this story.
If you found it interesting, you can click subscribe to the Hidden Ledger channel.
For now, we bid farewell. Discover new things. Don't hesitate to leave comments.
And please calmly practice again.